Just turn it.
Okay.
Okay, what?
You're going.
Call to order a special meeting of Jackson County Board of County Commissioners for May 10th, 2022. Okay, where's,
Dalal, he could speak because he wanted to catch y'all at the end of last meeting. He wants to say something.
okay,
Mr. Dalal?
come up to the microphone. I can't hear you.
I want to say something when you in a good mood, Mr. Chairman.
I'm always in a good mood.
Anyway, I have spent a lot of money for this project. I was asked, is there any way county can reimburse me the engineering fees or whatever I have spent? You think so?
What was your cost, Mr. Ian?
The surveying, maybe 3,000-4,000, I can bear that, but the engineering cost is 15,000 at least, I believe, roughly, not considering my any cost, nothing. I've spent a lot of time.
So you're asking for a rebate of your,
Some kind of refund me or give me tax credit on my property tax, or somehow can county help, Mr. Chairman? I have paid $2,000.
we would,
$2,000 just for fees for submitting my application, about 2,000. I requested, I have emailed Bilan and Chamber of Commerce also 2 months before for a waiver of that fee. And if county cannot give me cash money, I understand you might have limitations, but if I get a tax credit on properties or whatever and can help me.
well, I don't know what the board is wanting to do or would do, but I am not opposed to looking and see how much money in fees you have paid the county and make a decision at that point.
That's fine.
Okay?
Also, as I understand it, I thought we kind of had directed him to go back to the drawing board, so to speak, look at the site plan that all the Howell Engineering developed and see if there's some tweaks that you can make with the site plan to address some of the concerns. Before we take that action, why don't we give him the opportunity to
That's fine.
Okay, then I
take the
can
site
wait.
plan and
Yes. Yeah, I can wait. For
Okay, go ahead.
What about coming off Peacock Bridge Road? Can you come off, there was a concern about the lights, the in and out and all that. Could you come off Peacock Bridge Road? Instead of off of 71?
What I noticed, Mr. Clint, there were two neighbors are on Peacock Bridge. They were against this. One neighbor was not against light or anything. He bluntly said, I'm against liquor in anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So he don't want liquor store. I understand. The other person in a county planning commissioners meeting, he made a statement, person named Toro, that he is against liquor store, not the gas station or convenience store or a feed and seed store. And today I have noticed he was against that also. It's all confusing.
What?
I met so many neighbors. They have signs. I have a next door neighbor was here. It wasn't like people from away were saying no. I have an adjoining property person were supporting me. There are people building a retreat who was on a virtual meeting, I believe. He supported also feed and seed store, not the liquor store. I heard that. But some of the folks were totally against. I noticed people want to sign it, but they were frustrated. So many people worried about they may attack them. I have heard so many things yesterday. Last 7 days, I was on a project in South Carolina. That is my prime job. So I have to take care of my prime job. So I could not contact much people last week or weekend. But I also noticed some of the people who were talking against, they were asking me, can I work in your liquor store? I have a liquor store experience. It's all hypocrisy. I'm not here to it's, I'm watching. What people says and what they does is
The
totally different.
lighting was a issue with some, but I know, I
Lighting
don't
facing
see.
the building lights, you are on the
But
right
what
of
happens if-
interstate, so
But when they come
Right.
out, the driveway comes right out
But the-
Bontrager's driveway.
But the house is not at the drive. The driveway comes in and turns back. So, yeah. So, but,
I
but
get
if
them.
you could come off of Peacock Bridge, they couldn't use that as an excuse.
Peacock Bridge, if the traffic comes from Peacock Bridge, it will be more impeding his property when traffic comes from
Well,
71 in my opinion.
exactly. That's what I was
But
gonna say, but
I'm, yeah,
everybody that turns
I don't
off
wanna
Peacock
have-
Bridge north on 71, the lights are gonna go on his house anyway.
I would like to
I
let
don't-
county know one more thing. I just came to know last evening. A couple of people came from up north, so they says we are considered Yankee in this county, but yeah, they moved here. They bought a property, 16 acre. And they are in process of putting a winery there. I don't know, will they get supported or not? I
What?
don't know. There's
Winery,
upcoming
winery.
winery
Winery.
project
Oh, no,
on
they
Peacock
won't be
Bridge
for it.
also. It's on other side,
That's
73.
On the north
But
side of,
I cannot disclose it publicly because someone telling me and I'm listening, so. But these all options. I pumped all money I made over there, sir. I had an opportunity. Gee, lot in
Okay.
others, but anyway.
But we can look, you work on your project and stay in contact.
Please, thank you. Yeah.
But what project? It
The
was
one-
voted down.
He needs to, in order to gain my support, he's got to change some things.
Yeah, but he's already got, I don't know, whatever his cost is, so you want him to continue the cost and then not, maybe not approve it?
That's the way the policy's set up right now. We're in the process of changing that.
Right, and believe me, Mr. Villan can witness it. I talked to her that, hey, Miss Villan, what happened if I spend so much money and if it goes no, I'll be losing a lot of money. It's a gambling, doing
That's a gamble
business
you-
in
that
Jackson
you took.
County.
Yeah, it
You went
shouldn't be a
into it
gamble.
knowing it
It's a
may not be
gambling, in
approved.
my opinion, doing business in the Jackson County, sir.
That's the way
It's
it
kind
was,
of
but it
gambling.
shouldn't be.
Buying a land. I sold 40-acre land to rock people. They're doing wetland mitigation purpose. I was able to make 50 more thousand selling same land to other person. But I decided to give it to rock people because it's a wetland mitigation purpose. They're spending $2 million in that 40 acre
That's
just for
right side
mitigation.
of that property.
The pond I have, they're spending 2 million and state says, nope, you need to do more. So they may be spending more money. But what I'm getting in barter of those efforts, I don't know.
Okay.
Same thing happened here at Eagles Landing. I bought a lot. County has given all utility at each lot. Each lot has a utility. I signed a contract to buy that. It's called Eagles Landing. Plotted, everything. When I'm buying, I have to do replot. That's not right. There's a sitting pond there. DOT's water coming. County water is going there. County asking me to dig a pond there so I can have a storm water accommodated there. There's something wrong going on, in my opinion. All plots has pipes, connections, everything plotted by surveyor Bannerman has approved. I believe that's the reason county gave.
And they wanted you to put in a
Utility.
retention pond?
Yes, and I backed up from the contract.
yeah, that's getting on the entrance of Indian Springs right there on the left.
Well, I know exactly where he's
I
talking about. I
opened
made him out there
77
and talk
liters, sir.
about it.
Okay, it was
Okay.
a closed store and it took 4 months to open the existing store. The only thing I did was painting. And I was asked to hire an engineer and go for redevelopment. Thank God, Melvin engineer helped me. They give me good rates and everything. So, but something we need to fix, Jim, for sure, if we seriously looking development.
We will
Right,
continue
yeah.
to look at it, and we'll be in contact.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Thank you.
Okay. Hunter Fox.
I was gonna recommend we go ahead and have the 4177 discussion next. Sorry.
All right, come on, Josh, showtime.
All right, busy day, so I'll keep it short.
And,
You have the list in front of you?
They have the last one you sent yesterday.
Okay.
Now, is this accurate?
Yes.
Oh,
So
Where you go? Did you send out one before that was not accurate?
there's a lot of different numbers. So there are what they've approved versus what you've spent, and there's a million different kind of, not a million, there's 4 or 5. So this is based off of what you spent, the actual cost approved versus actual cost to date.
So this is no good either.
No, it is. So this is telling you.
Yeah,
But my
This is what-
numbers changed so much.
This is what you spent. And that's what they've, so there's potential that it could be more if they've approved less, but this is what you spent versus what they approved. Does that make sense?
Right.
So if you spent $1 million and they only approved 7, you still may get that other 300 to reuse potentially, but we're just counting the million minus the 1.5. They said it takes 1.5 to do this. You spent $1 million and they only approved 700,000. We're counting that as 500,000 remaining, not
So
800,000.
where's District 2's number?
It's right, the dark number.
Okay.
1,134,626. That's
So
the
sum
unused.
of total, 1 million.
So here,
I'm not, no. You give me numbers different every time.
that's because they changed, because
No,
there's
they
work,
don't.
you did work
How?
because,
We ain't done work on 4177 in my district for a year, besides the jobs that we're waiting to fix right now.
correct. So I think the last time you had was 1.4, right?
No,
I
it's
don't-
2 something, and then it will, before then it was
Correct.
3, and so the numbers changed, so this ain't no good.
So we're
Sorry.
closing out 4177 next week, meeting with state to go through all of these one road by road. And the goal would be to close that out by the 1st of June, so in a 3-week period. And then the state, what the state says is what that will be.
So I've done all my work and I have $1 million I can do improvements left.
That's what it appears to be.
Okay.
It means you spent
Get us some more numbers. I wanna- I wanna
6.5
know.
and 4 million.
Sorry, I can't.
So-
And you have got, that's including those 3 that you repurposed.
The last one was 2 or 3 and it was
Correct.
already, took that off there too.
And that's right, that's coming out of there
But now we're at me.
after all that.
See,
How much do you think that you should have?
who knows? We hired
Correct.
you to do this.
Right, and these are
And
the numbers.
changing. Next week, the numbers will be different.
They're all coming from the same system. So we know what, those constants, we know what you have, right? We know what you were allowed.
Go ahead and talk to the others.
Okay.
You ain't
We,
talking to me.
we
I'm sorry.
got it.
You're wrong.
Okay. Well, we can go one by one through it
No,
with the
you-
grant and what we have, which is what we're going to do with the state. And it is going to be what it is.
So District 4,
So again, I guess, Josh, unused is the total sum that you're speaking of is 3.985 basic bill. Is that what was allocated for that? Or is that what's remaining? Unused is 1.2, so I've got 1.27 mil
where you see that?
right here, unused column, brother, it says unused budget.
But District 4, I don't see any. Oh,
No.
One,
I don't think I have
Oh,
either.
okay, I
How
see.
about telling us what these columns are?
Yeah, I
representing?
might need
Catch
to
us
see
up.
your list too then.
okay.
Well,
Just make sure what he's including in there.
Correct,
And I
correct,
have
correct.
one question. Is your cost that for Audie Howe been pulled out and put in that spreadsheet?
It will be. Which
But
is
it-
100.
so the answer is no.
Correct.
So those numbers are gonna change again.
What's,
Their fee.
So
Right.
they billed us, not them. We can't recoup a penny for Mr. Josh Norman. but we were billed All Day Howell's CEI cost underneath their contract.
Right.
So I don't know what of that bill we can pull out, but that was
That
one
would
of their
be-
jobs that they had to go back at
part of
each
this.
invoice
Correct.
and pull it out and show it per road,
Correct.
what was All Day Howell's cost.
So look at the last column, the sum of total remaining fund. This is what you need to be looking at. The very last, which leaves which is the same number I'm looking at, same report. You got this back.
No, one thing I
Well,
want you
You
to,
have something you can cross-reference, and when I ask you a question, we can cross-reference it. District 4, it shows, has, this is where some calls. We're looking at the sum of the budgeted unused amount minus 1.2739272 million. Is that what is remaining?
That's mine.
No.
No,
you got,
yours-
two- according to this, you got
Sum of
2.719
total
left.
remaining fund.
You don't have a number.
Column 1 is just that one then? Because it looks like that column 1 is almost encompassing the one below it, not parallel with it.
The totals of the bold and the.
And the bowl at the top, where you have 4,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
All right, so I'm saying, you saying that I have
2.7, yes, 719. And
That
then,
1 and 2 kind of fades together with a number it is. Yeah. So you're saying, again, I see what people, pay the same. So in my case, 2.79
right,
is what you're going to negotiate with the state, road by road, and find out how much of that is left. Is that correct? Or are you
that is
saying
what,
to
that is
confirm?
what we believe, based on all our total costs, is you have remaining versus approved versus your actual cost that you spent to do that work.
And these
And
fees,
then we would say, okay, now we want to repurpose that to do this, which is you decide.
and that's how many months? You're talking probably 6, 8 months? to do
No, we're
that?
gonna meet with them hopefully next Thursday. So the rest of this week, handing them information. We want to have a kickoff meeting to show them exactly the documentation. They have a fewer amount of roads to close out, but refresh their memory on what has already been done. And work with them over the next 2 weeks after that. So the 3 weeks, 1st of June, to have everything. And in that time, we hope to have the projects you want to do, so we can close that out and give them the new batch.
So you mentioned a strategy, financial strategy before that. Could we buy said product? In my case, a line. Can I go? I guess, I'm sure that I'll put a check right after y'all make the agreement. Is there just gonna be some mutual handshake that, hey, this money's available to you?
No, it has to go through.
It has to go up to Atlanta, does it not?
Correct, yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
so that took
Right.
9 months last time.
So this is a closeout and a new PW written.
But
Yes.
what we're trying to do though, I think, is if you're gonna buy rock, you're gonna put rock on the roads that were initially damaged.
Sure, I've already
Yeah,
got,
41,
had that list from the onset, had 81 miles of road.
Then you can go back and add rock to it as mitigation to keep it
Correct.
from flooding.
Correct.
Which I already got permission on said roads from them. It took 27 months to get that 2 trips to DC
Right.
to get that done. And they're still not done with that line. So is there?
What I also want to do with each of you, over maybe starting next week, if you're available, is to go through your list, tell you everything that's been approved on your PWs. And then you tell me, is that road done or not? Because we may have costs for it. They may have said it and we may believe it. But I want to hear it from y'all. Yeah, that's done. We're good. So in that next 2 weeks, go through that process, which will hopefully lead to, I want this done and that done and that done.
Well, I mean, I made mine clear. I want my roads in line, either in bulk and it's sit at a plant, on a
Right.
credit line. I don't care what it was allocated for, but
Right.
it's there. But it's, the payment's been made for that, and then all we need to do is shuttle it or transition it over to one of the pits. But I mean, well, I thought that's what you had said last time. That
Yeah,
we could go
no,
find
we-
product.
we
We could
sub-
find a product and say, here's
Yeah.
2.7 million. I want to purchase that. Give me a receipt for 2.7 million of dollars worth of tonnage of line.
Yeah.
And it's done.
We made a preliminary request to that.
Yeah, they deny it.
No, they didn't deny it. They say, wait till you're finished and let's come back and answer that. But they did question the policy. So we're working under a 2000 whatever policy versus the most recent one. So we want to still engage them with that potentially may have to list out the
I mean, I'll be
roads.
glad with it.
Yeah, I think
There's
that's-
a formulated list for that.
Yeah. And say this is how much on each road. Not
That's
too
what I'm
difficult.
going to do.
So you want us to tell you if a road's finished? Haven't we already told you from Road and Bridge which ones are finished and
Yes.
which one are not? So why do we need
And-
to tell you?
You need to
Well,
verify.
because
them, or-
sometimes we say, hey, this one says it's done and has cost, and you might say, no, that's not done, or it's not done enough.
Well, road and bridge would know more than we will. I mean, I could number roads, but to go search for 81 roads in my district, I mean, you know.
That's been
Yeah, but
done
you
a
can just
long
say, hey,
time.
I know for sure that one isn't, or
But there'll have
I
to be,
want it.
to me, there had to be an arbitrator that says that. I mean, I don't know if it's the principal people at Road and Bridge or someone gonna have to
The
say.
supervisor. ought to be
Supervisor
able
go
to
to-
Sit down.
I guess documentation will have to be put in place. I mean,
Yeah, and we have a bunch of documentation that went to the state, and they have those records, and that's where we get that cost from. So this is basically what we have right now. I think this is maybe not to the penny of what's going to come out after it. We hope if there's anything, it's just going to go up, not.
So again, I just want to ask a little, I guess, basic question. So my intent's on, just speaking for me now. So can we run this in tandem when you're meeting with these people about verification, this number of amounts, whatever procedures, policies? Can you go ahead and put the request in to start with and say, listen, we're looking at this numerical number, 7 digits,
Yeah,
and this is the intent. Instead of saying, okay, we verified that, and now we got to start
correct.
with a process of asking you and let it run it on out the chain.
Yeah,
Could we not just say, okay, there's gonna be roughly this amount of money, or whatever that numerical value is at this total sum, and say, hey,
get
this
it
is
in
what
the
he wants to do
system.
with it. This is what my intent is for the onset. 2
Yeah.
weeks from now, y'all talking to whoever next Thursday, this is what, and I'm sure every commissioner might want to do the same. Maybe it's paved road, maybe it's, I don't know.
Yeah,
But I just, we're talking about, for all purposes right now, this 4177 is everybody for me, is 8 years and 2 weeks old.
okay.
This is the last week of April, first week of May of 2014. And that's the frustrating part, just knowing that, I guess that's how the wheels of
Right.
affairs work, but
No,
So you're
yes,
gonna
but
get-
that is the intent, is to meet with them to say, after this is what we want, relatively speaking. I guess things can change over the next 2-week period. But by the end of June, these things go in and it's in the
but they've
system.
already approved my scope change for this
Right,
in when did we go to DC last? 2017, 16, we talked with FEMA, got that.
yeah, we have those.
44 since then.
44 FEMA guys.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So if we come up with a list of roads we want to work on.
Yes,
I got 1.2 million, I think.
somewhere around there.
If we come up with a list of roads that we want to put rock on and just have that ready whenever we meet with you, then we can go and get the necessary.
That would be, yes. You have to submit it.
I'll have mine ready.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just want to throw a kink out there.
Love Keith.
$3.2 million is what FEMA has said we owe them back for not acquiring CDR services correctly, even though we only spent $797,000 plus the dirt.
That's,
They have said the entire time they would take that out of the money that was left. So you're telling them they got 6.545, but I say
That's
3.2's got to come out of there somewhere.
that's actually included in that's why we,
So this number represents the deduction that she's talking about?
yeah, total actual cost includes all of CDR costs. So that's why we compare.
No,
it
because
to total
I
actual
paid
cost.
2.3 million to CDR. Only
2.4.
700,000 was charged to here.
Correct. But your
So all
sum
of their costs ain't in
Your
here.
sum of total actual costs includes CDR's cost. So we have by every road, how much CDR billed for us, what invoices they billed on it. That comes up with the force account labor. That's why instead of comparing it to what they approved, which they didn't approve all of CDR's costs, we compare it to the sum of your total actual cost, which does include CDR and the amount approved. So.
So then just wipe
that
the
comes
slate.
out.
You're saying to us now, the numbers that Danielle's mentioned to us now, as far as what was owed to CDR or back to, excuse me, not to CDR, but back to them for not fulfilling that, is already extracted from this number.
Yes, it is.
So this
it is-
number right here, according to you, is only gonna vary on the way up, not vary down.
Correct. So on the first one where I said there's a difference, the first difference was based on what they approved, which they didn't approve CDR costs, so you would have more. And so I took that out, we went from 8 to 6, basically, which includes that CDR cost that we added in there, because these are costs, whether the state approved them or not, those are costs that you have tied to this.
But did I need to see that? what's that name?
CDR.
CEI on Lime Rock Road. I thought that was considered a small project on 120K.
These are all large projects.
Oh, these all.
Oh, a large
But-
project means a large grant, which is the
Are
difference.
you asking if you need?
Yeah, man, I don't have to have it on this.
Typically, they want to know that it was done correctly. So if the documentation is there, a CEI company might need it in there. But, you know, that's why I said find the rock. I mean, you get to define your project going
Well, I've
forward.
been, yeah, and I think I've already have it defined. I just want rock. Now, the CEI services for this one I hadn't heard about, but.
Yeah, that was
We
a
didn't have, we have
insignificant amount.
CI services on,
Only on when you had the contract out.
Yeah, there, and those are also included in the sum of total actual
But we
costs.
done it ourselves now.
So I need to start
Just forced
extracting
labor.
the cost of CEI services off this amount if I have to have one where they
You
do the
might
road.
owe money.
And,
A little
and what I
bit.
mentioned was we've already paid some that I couldn't quantitatively put to a road. So his firm is supposed to
Yeah.
be going back through those invoices,
Right.
so that number will not go up, it should go down.
Unless they basically say you don't have to.
Well, who
Well,
can
we've
you-
I
already
can't
done
take money away from you that I didn't give you. So that's basically a 2 million that I guess will come into the discussion.
Well, right now, Lime's running about, if I have the guys do it, the bids come in somewhere around 65,000 a mile, if it was contracted out, if I remember right. So how much of that 65,000, just say 60 for easier math, how much of that would CEI cost per mile?
I think you lost me there.
I'm asking you if they require me to have
They
CEI
won't.
service.
I think in this,
They won't, or
as
you
we,
think they won't?
I can't say
I'd rather-
that.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, I do. How
Yeah.
much of 60,000 you think would charge me per mile difference if I had to get CEI service?
I can't answer that.
What you think.
Yeah. I think it comes to how, you know, what type of road it is. Because the CEI
They're-
services are going to be, you know, one long road versus 55 small ones.
Mr. Hill?
Yeah.
CEI is running about 10% contract.
Okay, contract man. So I just deduct about 10% off the cost analysis of that. About 200.
If you're gonna do CI, but
That's what
we
I'm-
did all of that FEMA work without CI.
Well, again, that's what I'm asking. If I don't have to have it, I mean, there are several people smart enough to go out there and look at it. I mean, there's gotta be some type of verification. I'm not doubting that. But there'll have to be a check and balance on
With
that.
that, there's
Right,
gonna be
so you-
tickets
That's right, the
associated
ticket.
with the line.
And you wanna take
And you gotta know that
pictures.
you've packed it and done everything to it.
Right.
All right,
That's it.
any more
So-
questions?
Over the next 2 weeks, working with you, reaching out to you about those roads.
Thank you. Okay. Are we ready to move on?
We are.
Hunter,
He's not, he's not here. David's going to
David,
share with us.
he's been sitting there all day.
I know.
We have.
Here, I'll. pass it around.
So before I start this, I got a couple of things that I wanted to update you on. Our Mashburn Road project is going well. If you remember, we had the initial grant for about $1.4 million that the county, the city did. And that wasn't sufficient funds to do the whole project. And I came to you and said, you need to obligate or at least pledge $200,000 to finish it. But fortunately, we were successful in getting the second grant, about $900,000. So we've got everything, all the money that we need out there to do it. If you're right out there and you see anything else that you want done, I'm gonna clear some more of the areas because it looks really good when it gets cleared out there is kind of what my thinking is on that to clear it. So it looks a lot more like an industrial park and it'll be a very nice Cadillac road, but it'll end in that cul-de-sac out there. And on our building, we got the architects going on that. We're under a schedule now with the grants, and so we should be bidding that job in June and starting the construction. We have to start before September, so probably in August, starting construction on the building out there. So after a lot of years, that's coming to fruition.
You feel pretty confident what the estimated cost of the building will be?
Well, we scaled back originally, it was a 50,000 square foot, and that was a stretch of a budget back then, because we got 4.6 million to build it with. And so now, right now, we're bidding a 30,000 square foot building on it. And I've got the architects, they're doing a pretty nice job on the facade, because I thought this will set the stage for the industrial park out there. And if you're interested, I'll send you what they've got on that. Take a look, or any of the commissioners. So that's one reason I wanted to clear a little more, is so when you go down that road, you'll see the building and the facade, and it'll be a very attractive entry.
How far down Mashburn can we pay?
That cul-de-sac, that's it. But
What are you calling the cul-de-sac with the?
well, right after the bend, as far, if you go out there now, you know where it ends. Yeah.
2,300
And what I had to take out originally when we didn't have the money is I put a cul-de-sac at the end, because you put this one business in, you're gonna get trucks and stuff that drive by and all like that. And so I had to take it out of the original, but we've got it back in right there. So if you go, it's not far after the bend. I mean, it's not very far. So it's 2,500 feet is what we're paving.
So
But the cul-de-sac will allow like 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Yeah. I mean,
we may want to,
18-wheeler may have to back up and do a little bit of stuff, but yeah.
we may want to go for legislative appropriation.
Yeah.
That done.
Yeah. And there'll
Unless you
be,
can know some other
yeah,
way
there'll
to
be,
get the money.
there will be some more money coming down, like our normal rural infrastructure is only funded at 5 million a year. This legislative session funding it at 25 million. So there'll be more money in that. And if any other business comes in, I mean, to get a lot of the grants, I need another business coming in down the road to.
Where are we at with Blue Sky?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're going to bid it and yeah, we're going to bid it in June, and we have to break ground on construction before September on that. So it's yeah, it's going to look good. Yes.
How much will it cost to finish paving Mashburn over to, was it you?
We've done that.
Yeah, you've done that.
Worked on the price of it.
And whatever I told you last time, just double it.
Double it.
Just double it.
I don't think there's anything on the horizon that's on
Yeah.
lower.
Yeah. And paving the rest of it's a little bit of a challenge, because it's got some pretty serious wetlands that it weaves around, but we, but if we get another business or something, we'll have an opportunity to go after some additional funding. Yeah. And so there's some more money coming through. And in that vein, kind of the second thing I was going to tell you, the CDBG regular cycle is coming up. Primarily what you'll be interested in is the neighborhood revitalization, and what that, and so one thing you need to do is probably set your public hearing for your first meeting in June for that. It's the first public hearing, but these applications due in July. But let me tell you, the county is usually a little bit of a challenge to get funded for it. This year, they've got twice as much money, $47 million in there. And the scoring criteria, of course, it has to be a low and moderate income community. And then you have to hit enough residents. Normally, you have to hit about 40 houses to qualify for it. What we have done in the past with the county is if you knew that you were paving a road anyway that would qualify as low income, then and you were putting $2 or $3 million into a road or whatever, well, this will bring you're eligible for 750,000. We add that into it, and it lets us count 40 houses. But if you go out and try to find a place in the county where you can get 30 or 40 houses with $750,000, that's hard to do on it, unless you got a urban area in cities and all. It's not a problem. And so that's one, sometimes you can kind of mix the grant, like one that we just did with the city of Mariana. We worked on the sewer lift station. That covered about 300 people, and we paved the road that had 15 houses on it. And so by combining those, you got your number up, and you were able to do that. So I'm just saying that for you to be thinking about that. And like I say, normally it's a little hard for the county to get a project, but I think they've got a lot more money this time. And so I think it's a good opportunity for that. So you may want to go ahead and set
That would be
first public hearing.
June
for you.
14th at 9:15.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Donifro. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. So on our Endeavor project, let me go through this, and I tried to put it together so it's easy to understand, and it's so of our 5.88 million, we went through the phase one, the demolition, the autism school, all of that. And so we've got about 2.1 million in there. We discussed, Will and I, about potentially doing some housing out there with autism. And so we stuck $200,000 in there for potentially renovating a dorm or doing something with that. But that's up to you guys, whether you want to do that or not. But anyway, if that were the case, you'd have 1.9 million. But anyway, so you got somewhere in the $2 million range of funds to be left. I have to spend all of this money by May of 2023. That's when the job growth ends. Actually, it ends in June, but we have to have canceled checks before June to turn in. So anyway, so we're okay on time. We don't have a lot of time, but we're okay on time. So we put out this, I call it phase 3. And if you look at the second page, we only had one bidder. I twisted all the contractors' arms that I could, and we had one bidder. He didn't know he was the only bidder. So I divided it up in parts, and the bidder is Southeast Construction Company. They're the guys that are doing Mashburn Road, which is the first project we've done with them, but they're doing a good job.
Looks good.
They've been good to work with. So what I did is I took, and then behind that's all the details of the bid, if you really want to get in the weeds. But what I did is I took their bid proposal, and on this front page, I threw, the priorities are set by you guys. I just kind of framed them in that priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, priority 4. Also, if you like to look at it the other way, I'll put over on the right side the cumulative total, and so you can see where the money runs to. So let me run through these real briefly and explain what each item is, kind of looking at that first page. So Endeavor Boulevard paving, that's paving the road. It's putting in some drainage improvements all the way from South Street to the T intersection there in front of the school. So it's the complete, and this paving that I've got bid in here is very good paving. We're doing full depth reclamation and then putting 3 inches of asphalt on top of that. So, if you say, well, we can cut back, I could cut back some on the asphalt, but it's a real good road in doing that.
What about the base, David?
Well, that's one reason I did 3. They're just going to do, what we'll do is put, Rod Adams came up with this approach with full depth reclamation. Normally you put soil cement, and our experience working with the county roads is that doesn't work very well because that soil cement sets up and you get so I'll give Rod credit. He came up with putting 2 inches of lime rock on top of the road, and then you mix that all in, and it's enough of a sweetener that it's turned out a lot better on some county roads that we've done recently than using soil cement. And so that's the base, and it's a good base, but I thought we'll put a little more asphalt in there to make up on it. Could you get by with 2 inches of asphalt on these roads? Yeah, it kind of depends on what you think the traffic will be on there. So this is good, a good road, and so we have to go back and trim. I can work with a contractor to trim back on the asphalt if you wanted to. So that's what Endeavor paving is, 2,250 feet of it. The autism school, that's the front and back parking lots that go along with it. Scott Drive is, of course, Scott Drive is the one that comes from the gym from Penn Avenue, and that's paving it all the way to the sheriff's office. And that road needs, and then in front of the gym area, what Paul had designed for the entryway for the gym civic center, we go ahead and put that curb and gutter in there and pave it. So it accomplishes a lot of the things there. It doesn't include paving that side parking lot over there that exists on it, but it does, it makes it a nice entry road into that area. What I pulled out in this, and it adds, and this is what I did in these priorities a little bit. When you look down under priority 2, you say Scott Drive remaining drainage. In that first priority 1, Scott Drive, I've got some 48-inch culvert in there that solves some of the problems around the chimney area. And also that old culvert that runs under the buildings, putting flowable fill and all those. But those are things that we could live without a little bit. So I pulled them out of priority 1, Scott Drive, and put them under priority 2. So that's kind of the break in it. And then kind of the same thing with water and wastewater improvements. In our bid on water and wastewater improvements, all I had pretty much was the work that was under the roads out there. And the city of Mariana's got grants to pick up the sewer and the water as soon as we get out from under the roads. But we needed to, if we're going to pave the road, we need to take care of the water and sewer under the road. So that's what I have in that first part. And then paving, I call it museum and circle roads. And if you look on any of the sheets that are attached, you can see what those are identified as museum roads. That little road that goes around to the White House is what I call it. And then Circle Drive, kind of the master paving plan is page 22 in there. So you can see the different parts on it. And so it's paving that. And then I put back, if you pave those roads and there's some water and sewer, you need to add back to it because that's under that area of water and sewer. And then adding back the Scott Drive drainage area, and then lighting on the Endeavor Boulevard and Scott Drive. And then priority 3 is the lighting on museum and circle roads. In all of this, so we bid out doing all the electrical, our bidder putting in all of the electrical conduit underground out there and the transformer pads and everything. And FPU comes in and pulls the wires on it. And so if you did a complete job out there doing the electrical, and then FPU's fees for their wire and all is a little over $1 million. I got the email from them in there, but we can scale back on different parts of it. But in priority 1 and 2, there's no underground electrical. So if we move forward without doing the underground electrical in the future, you'd have to do overhead electrical. And that's what we're having to do for the school right now. That's the way the sheriff's department's served out there. But there's potential. We got a price on doing the underground electrical. And then priority 4 was the demo of several items. Demo of the clinic roof, and that's just that metal roof that's on the top of the concrete roof. It just doesn't, it's not hurting anything because it's a concrete roof, but it's just ugly to me. And I should have had it taken off in the first round of demo. Pierce Hall, that's demoing Pierce Hall out there. And then we still got 4,200 feet of steam tunnels with asbestos in them. You know, we can live with them, but you know, that's because that's a high ticket price right there. On those asbestos steam tunnels, you have 2 options. If you can just collapse those tunnels and leave the asbestos in there, but you probably got to record a thing at the courthouse that says, oh, there's asbestos in the dirt right here. And so you can live with that. You know, the handicap of that is somebody comes along with a bill there, you always got to say, well, there's asbestos right there. So it's nice to get rid of it, but it's $693,000 to get rid of it, or if we got rid of all of it. So all that rambling, that I just want to kind of give you an overview and in these plans, I didn't give you the whole set of plans. It's 50 or 60 pages. I just did the master plans for each one of the utilities. So with that, I'll shut up and let you ask questions.
Anyone have questions?
I would just say that I generally agree with the overall priority, the way that you've got them listed out, priority 1, 2, 3, and 4. The one, I guess, difference is that, I think if we can come up with a way of finding the dollars to do that, to me, it would be worthwhile to do the undergrounding of electric, at least associated
With those
Scott
roads.
Drive
Yeah.
and Gymnasium. It just
Yeah.
seems like it'd be crazy not to do.
Some of what, if you tell me how much you want to spend, I'll go back and tweak these things. And what you want as priorities like that, I'll go back and tweak them. So these are real, I use rounded numbers and estimate. And like I say, you got to pull a little quantity from here to there to get exact numbers. And here's a little bit of another option. I need to award to this contractor the 1.9 million or 2.1 million so that we get that spent by June and getting going right now. So you could say, that's all I want to do. And we can come back and change order with him later. Or of course, the more you add in, if you're going to add anything to it, the more you can add in now. So I know the better it is, but it doesn't keep us from doing things, especially that are independent like that. Like the Circle Drive and Museum Road, the fact that we're doing the 2 other roads don't have anything to do with them. But like Paul was saying, you may want to put in your underground, and I probably would do that anyway, but at least put the conduit under the road there so that we'd have all that stubbed out.
So we have 1.9 available.
1.9, if you want to hold 200,000 for the housing part, or if you got funds, we can go ahead and put that in there, but we may come and ask for 200,000 or something to help with the housing, but we got some HHRP money that may, anyway, that's a different.
Isn't there some funds out there that might be available for housing?
We're working on all of it.
Well, I was just thinking.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm good with you. I didn't obligate the 2.1 or whatever. I just
obviously priority
I got to
one.
spend it all by.
Yeah.
Well,
We can, trust me, by the time you walk out of here today, your pockets will be clean.
Okay.
Our pockets.
His pockets. John broke one. The priority, total of the priority 1 was 2.65.
All right.
So we can't go that high.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so if you
what
told
we
me,
need
let's
to
do
is
priority
pick
1,
items.
if you told me, let's do priority 1 and make it 2.1 million, I'll figure out a way to try to make
I'll make a
priority
motion.
1 2.1 million. I may cut back on asphalt. I'll do
2.1
some
million,
value
if you thought
engineering.
one-
Well, I was just going to say, I'd like to see the paving done
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
on the lanes and the parking lot.
But we don't have the museum parking lot in here, right?
That's not in priority.
Well,
So we're gonna redo the gym and not do the parking lot?
Well, some I thought, of course, it's the money. I thought that could be a part of the redo of the gym. One, I thought that would probably be a construction laydown area and it'd get boogered up, and so hold off on paving it until after that. But I can put it in. I
I think you're right.
I debated.
It's not in here at all.
It's not in. I didn't bid it, but
He's talking about the parking lot that's in between the gym and
Yeah.
Penn Avenue.
But I mean, if we redo the gym, we gotta,
Penn Avenue,
well,
yeah,
up the hill.
no,
No,
no.
below.
no, the
Ain't no parking
existing.
lot there.
It's going to be
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
between the gym and the chapel.
but is this,
That's not-
is that in
There-
here
there's
too?
the existing one right now, and it needs to be, it doesn't do, it's kind of striped for double parking, but it needs about another 12 feet. I've designed it. But I didn't bid it in this, but I can add it to this if you wanted to, but I'd have to pull something, and it would probably be in the ballpark of the cost of that. I mean, I got unit prices, so I can tell you what it would cost, but it'd probably be in that $200,000 or $300,000 range.
For doing the autism.
No.
Yeah.
So behind the gym, no parking lot, or
Yeah.
redoing the front of the parking lot?
This
The
is,
front part.
well, redoing the front
It's not
parking
in
lot
here.
is not in here.
What
Neither, no parking.
No
for the-
parking lot at all.
No parking for the gym. I redo the entry with curb and gutter. There need to be storm inlets along there, so I've got that. And then we designed the drop-off area for the future entry of it. And so I went ahead and I got that curb and gutter there and all that paving. So all the paving that's in Scott Lane that needs to be there is a part of this project. But I didn't do that existing parking lot. But I can, but it's not just resurfacing. Part of it was I thought, well, when you do the gym, you're gonna have contractor lay down here and he'll probably boogaloo it up and we can put that in the cost of the gym.
You don't need it, you don't need it until the gym's done anyway.
Until the gym's done anyway.
So are we going to open up Scott Drive all the way to Penn Avenue?
Yeah, that's the intent.
Well, I
of
know
this.
that's the thought,
I would
but
think that should be our main
Main
entrance.
entrance.
because
so
that
you're
other-
going to pave it and tie it into Penn Avenue, right?
Yeah, and so it's even widening the radiuses there and making it a much wider driveway. Right now, it's a pretty narrow driveway, which, because they have to go through gates to get there.
Okay,
And so it's a nice driveway, curb and gutter driveway.
What
It'll be a nice road
DOT permits to the road, you know.
to get the driveway connection. Yeah, we'll get it. Yeah. We haven't
They don't
applied
have
for
to have
it.
a turn lane or anything there.
No, I don't think so. I think we can get.
I mean,
by with it.
to begin with, we're not, but who knows?
Maybe DOT will put that in when it.
So you're
That's a
asking,
motion.
yeah. No, I already made the motion.
Priority one?
Yeah, priority
Yeah,
one.
they're kind of the two questions, or what do you want as your priority? And how much do you want to spend
Well, I
now?
want
If you only want to spend the 2.1 million, I'll make it work. If you want to put out another 500,000 into it or whatever.
What funding
I'll make
source
that
you talking about the extra 500,000?
Well, ARPA funds, but that's up to you. I mean,
Are we keeping a tab for all these funds?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you keep turning down the opportunities to use ARPA. I mean, you keep saying no, so we've not really spent anything other than the
this was-
legal
How much is
fees.
in there?
And, I mean, you got 9 point,
Yeah, but you do have some things obligated, the fire rescue premium pay, what we're
Right.
about to discuss next.
legal.
We're
Legal
willing down.
fees.
and then the
That was
$20,000 worth of stuff for rent out at, what was that?
The pump.
Neil's Lane.
40,000 further today.
But you're still under a million.
and again, I can change order that work in later if you want to add funds. So you don't have to add funds today, but
All right, I got a motion by Commissioner Hill for 2.1 million, priority one. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pate. Any more questions? from Mr. Knight?
I'd like to know what it would cost to at least get is the cost to put the conduit in for the electrical, is that $800,000 figure? Is that what that is?
yeah, that's for a lot of conduit out there. I'll make sure that we put the conduit in under the roads that we're paving. I'll make sure that we get everything under the
Even if
roads.
that means changing from 3-inch asphalt to 2-inch asphalt. I'd
Yeah, that's
rather-
right.
I'd rather do
That's, yeah.
Is that
All
part of
right.
the motion?
Any more questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. 2.1, priority one.
Okay, gotcha.
That's 2.6. We spent 2.6, yeah.
Okay,
Well, hold on, David. I did the 2.65 that's here. What are you extracting to go down to 2.1? I mean, we need to be part of that process. What are you gonna do to get
I
2.65?
need to work on that.
Yeah, bring us back some.
come back and tell
I will.
us.
Yeah.
Maybe the next
I mean,
meeting.
My number one is probably I'll cut back an inch of asphalt on the roads and just go with 2 inches of asphalt.
Is that gonna be good enough?
2 inches of asphalt ought to be enough out
You're
there.
an engineer now?
Huh?
I'm asking David. I said, you an engineer?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we typically do city streets.
Nobody got walking around since.
We
it was
do
Why
city
Dalal.
would-
streets.
Why would we put 3 on it to begin with?
Cause that'd make it a nice heavy duty
Exactly.
road. It'd make it a nice heavy duty road.
We're drawing,
Yeah.
we're drawing an inch.
Well,
It makes it more of a residential road.
let me ask you this.
And I look and say, you can always add another inch of asphalt to it, but I can do what, it's all a matter of money.
Well, my concern too is the same thing. When they start doing a lot of construction stuff out there, they're gonna be a lot more heavy equipment out there constantly on that road.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we don't pay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, again, we're gonna be doing, hopefully, a lot of construction over the next several years is putting those, that nice line of pavement on top of it. Is that gonna deteriorate the weight of it with that amount of trucks that's
You
going out
know,
there?
we won't come back and put that inch back until it's already messed up and we gotta do more to it than.
Yeah,
It's- I don't-
definitely balancing that.
Well, that's when y'all get paid the big bucks. You tell me what you want with the
Well, I mean, I'm
2.1
looking at,
million.
well, the same application applies. You're talking about the parking lot that's gonna be, if it was paved, you don't have people have a lay area out there and you don't end up
Yeah,
messing up, or we don't have the same application on the driveway. I mean, you don't have those.
You know,
trucks
there's a
running-
lot, especially in the old days, we did city streets with 2 inches, some with 1.5 inches and on it, so.
What deduction is that per inch? I mean, you're talking about going from 3 to 2 or 2.5, I mean, 1.5.
Yeah,
I mean, you probably had to calculate.
I
that.
ought to know that, but, I'll have to.
Well, just bring some back to us.
I will. I'll
Yeah,
work
that
on
way,
it.
that.
Cause I may come back crying and saying I can't get it down to that and, you know, I mean, there's,
We may have to take something off.
yeah. I mean, you potentially could, I mean, one option is on Scott Drive, you could stop paving where it intersects with Endeavor and from there, the sheriff's office not pave that last stretch there. I mean, it's not in bad condition, but yeah, there's some things like that.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Ms. Willan.
All right, the last item we have is to discuss the pay adjustments for corrections. And I do have a small request at the end to discuss about fire rescue to fix something, and we'll get to that in a minute. So essentially, as most of you know, the legislator is funding the fiscally constrained counties are going to a minimum starting salary for their jails of 41,500 and their sheriff's deputies to 45,000. So the legislator is going to, I guess, provide the gap funding for that. So I suppose whatever we do today should be contingent on this not being vetoed by the governor, but I don't think that will happen. I think it will go through.
He's already said he's going to sign it.
So 41,500, all of our surrounding fiscally constrained counties, that will be their starting salary for correctional officers. And the state is going to 41,600. So we've put together a plan in your packet. And so we should have been included in that, by the way. However, for whatever reason, there was some language put in the bill that said for all deputies and correctional officers that fall under the sheriffs. So we and Gulf County are the two that were not included in that. So we are working with the governor's office. I have a meeting with them next week to hopefully correct this next year and to be retroactively paid for this. But regardless, we will likely not have a staff left if they can go to Washington, Calhoun, the federal prison and make 10,000+ more dollars a year. So what you have in front of you is a request in the attached spreadsheet. So we did several different methodologies, but the one that we landed on that really seemed to be the most sound was to move everyone up with 2 exceptions, and I'll go over those in a second, by $10,617 across the board. So we looked at some different things within the officers, the higher ranking officers, of maybe not doing so extreme. But because our officers were already somewhat compressed, there was not a lot of difference between a correctional officer and a corporal and a sergeant and so forth. What was happening is if we did not give the same amount, there were some officers that still weren't even making the new minimum of a correctional officer. So 10,617 across the board. You can see what their annual salary is in the blue columns. And then in the yellow column, you can see what the proposed salary would go to, for a total bottom line dollar figure of $564,559.83. So let me go over the two exceptions on this sheet. So we don't need to change our minimum and maximum salaries because we want to be able to provide to the state what our minimum is and then that gap funding. But just for the purposes of some calculations, we took our current ranges and we increased them by $10,617 and came up with a new minimum and a new maximum in that hypothetical situation. And one person who is the sergeant that is in the highlighted yellow, he actually caps out at 59,401. If we don't cap him out, he would be making 65,000, which would be, he's already would be making more than the captain. He'd be making significantly more than the captain and more than some of our department directors. So we checked with Krisner to ensure that that's a sound methodology. He wholeheartedly agrees that it is. And no one else caps out. So it's not like we're trying to not cap some people and cap him. And the other exception here is for the chief. We're recommending a $4,500 bump. And that is not really anything to do with the other employees as much as it is looking at the department directors. And so that puts the three of our public safety positions, within just a very close distance from each other. So I'll answer any questions on the jail side. I do want to say that I have no guarantees that we will be retroactively paid this, but we are going to try our very, very best. The governor's office did say it was an oversight. It was not their intention. This was not intentional towards Gulf and Jackson County, and they will do their best to fix it next year, working with the
So
legislator.
the gentleman that has the differential of 59,401.74 is because he's been here almost 30 years.
Mhm.
So, but I'm just out of curiosity, are we gonna penalize him from getting the full raise because of the amount he's already making?
Well, it's really more that he caps out when you apply the 10,617 to the new pay we're not adopting a new pay scale, but to the hypothetically the new pay scale, he's the only one that caps out. So it's not that we're penalizing him, it's just that he happens to cap out. So the reason you cap people out is you've gone as high as you can go. And if you want to make more, then you would go after the lieutenant or the captain or the chief position when those are available.
If he's already making significantly more than them besides.
He's already making more than the current captain will be making.
What, I'm looking at your pay scale. I see a sergeant. Where are they? Well, it looks like they're 124. Does that sound right?
Yes.
48,635.
Danielle, I somehow gave away all the pay scales, so you may have to reference it.
Yeah.
Here,
It
here.
is, and you
Pass
add
me
that
that.
to 10.
I got another one. This one.
So this is our current pay scale. So this does not show that $10,000 added.
I understand
Okay.
that, but what I want to know is what is the cap on that sergeant position right now?
Right now, 48,635.
What I thought.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have
We
to
ain't
change
never
all of
applied
this.
caps before.
No, I actually don't think we need to change this because when the state asked me to see what our salaries are, we don't need to give them what we're going to. We need to be able to give them this, which is true, so that they can see what the gap funding is. Does that make sense to everyone?
No.
Are y'all tracking with me? Daniel, say it
She-
better.
If she changes this, we no longer have the support documentation to give the state where you need the money. Period. Don't
You
judge.
gotta justify the money
Yeah.
that we're increasing. the difference.
Okay, I understand.
I mean, that means nothing except to show the state, this is what we're paying.
Yeah.
So if you.
But
pay
we
us-
used this and added, like we were increasing it to show what his new cap should be, because you do need a cap, but you need a cap for more reasons than that. In this case, this is one of those things where you have to balance. Yeah, he's not getting what everyone else is getting, but he would be making as much more than most of our department directors. So it really is a balance.
How long your department head's been here?
Depends on which one you're talking about.
30 years?
No. You have any department.
3,
heads.
4,
No,
maybe?
they're all pretty new.
Probably longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This boy's been here a while, but
He's
the,
actually in the drop.
Yeah, he
and
is.
December is when that 5 years terminates, so
So
Okay,
he'll be gone after December.
okay.
if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay.
So
but his pay
it's not gonna affect
Yeah,
anything.
no,
He's already
is going
retired.
above the cap anyway.
Mm-mm. Well,
Yeah, why is
The
he
tech-
making above the cap now?
the
It's-
technical cap, but because we're moving everything up,
I mean,
Cause I see a lot of them.
he's been there almost 30 years. Back in the day, everybody got a cost of living raise every year, so he was part of that.
Yeah.
Up until about 2003. So of course his salary's not there.
But the number this doesn't match this.
I don't know what your point
He's
is.
above the cap.
Currently.
He's
So
above
we've
the-
not been enforcing caps. For whatever reason.
The
Yeah, I
cap
know.
that you have now is 48,635. You give him $4,800, he's at 59.
Well, even bigger. He's at 54, 386, 56 right this second, right now,
Yeah,
without
he
changing him
is.
at all.
So he's
over
above
cap.
the cap that you have established.
And I would almost be willing to wager that that happened with these last 3 sets of raises, because he
He
been
got
here 30
longevity.
years, he got,
Longevity.
$2,000 a year, so it's 6,000 there in 3 years. Because he went over 30, because Renee and the
Longevity
Brady
and
broke there.
his 2%.
But if he's already over your cap, so this is
I think that's a,
not valid. You've already busted your
He
cap.
is over the current cap, but what I have heard over these last few years is we gotta cap people. So if we're going to do an entire department, there, you gotta have a point in time where you say, we're going to cap and only give cost of living, because they, especially in this case, they can continue to advance if they want to,
If there's availability.
if there's availability,
If they're
which
not-
in his case, there was at one point, and he did not take it. Nothing against him. This isn't about this
He might not
individual.
have the
Yeah,
responsibility.
exactly.
Well, then you don't get the money.
But so your years of service don't count anymore after that? If
Well,
you
he's
cap-
got years of service. He's got,
Well, I know that, but
he's making more than anyone. He's making more than
Well,
the
I
current
understand that,
captain right
But he
now.
worked 30 years for it, though. I
Mhm.
mean, that has to be a loyal.
You want some incentive for people to stay.
Because if you cap them to a certain point, and then we get raises and they're at that cap, then they just sit back while everybody else gets raises.
So I actually totally agree. And even at the 59, he would be making $2,000 more than the captain, which is 2 ranks above him. So we're not saying we're not honoring your years of service. At the same time, if you want to give him the 10, that's fine. We can't do both. We can't keep saying we need to cap and keep not capping.
Well, if we have a cap, then you don't bust it. And that's what you told me this was.
But that's because that was based on past precedents of, I mean, Danielle can speak that better than I can.
well,
I don't
mean,
think we've
you
held to
in-
that.
You implemented a $2,000 for somebody that was ever how many years he was,
25 to
and he's
30.
got it for the last 3 years, so.
That's $6,000.
Come on. And you didn't say only give that to the ones that don't cap
But
out.
it was even before that, I think that we have gone like historically not honored the caps.
All right, so when we did honor the caps, it hurt 2 people, one in Road and Bridge and one at the jail, which was Beverly. So
And this
we
guy-
haven't looked at the cap since we did those aggressive increases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we haven't. This is kind of like the first little,
So the cap is not valid.
we would like for the cap to be
It's
valid.
valid if you make it valid. we,
Well, then we're gonna have to take money from him.
no, because what we're creating, we're not officially creating a new scale because that would totally defeat what we're doing, but we're unofficially creating a new scale by what you're doing, by bumping everyone $10,000. Because for that perspective, the correctional officers would be outside of the current scale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what are we going to do?
that's up to y'all. I'm,
Well,
He's retiring when?
Says October. He's.
So we have about 6 months.
Legally, he
Sorry.
has till December,
has
so
to-
if he changes his
we
mind,
have to-
December, he can't
He's in the
change it.
draw.
Well, as
Yeah.
long as till December, he's gonna be forced out.
Any more questions? I think it's all clear as mud.
Do
And
we
these
have
funds will be
anybody,
coming out of ARPA.
yes, sir.
do we have anybody else that is about to get in the same situation?
It looks like the other ones are 20 years.
Not in
Should-
these, not on this. Everyone else has a lot of room to go in the scale.
Sure
You
want
don't
me-
think so?
I don't think so after we gave the adjustments we gave. I think we need to take a
No,
hard
I'm
look.
in it on this in the new hypothetical.
Oh,
I
right,
think-
but I think he said who else
Oh,
in
you
the
meant in
county.
the
was-
county?
Is that what you meant?
Did you
Are
mean countywide?
Oh, well, we're looking at this now.
I
Right,
thought you
but I
meant
thought
this.
you meant.
Well, I mean,
Who
it
else
might
is
be,
there?
we
Well,
need to look at.
What do you want, Ms. Carly?
She got the answer.
You up and down.
I just wanted to just point out that you tasked us with making adjustments that are going to come with minimum wage. So we're heading in this direction, but this is like jumping to step 10 when we're still on step 1 with everybody else. So when she's saying, that we're implementing a cap, we're trying to set a precedence now that we will need to further implement when we push forward with minimum wage. So I just want to make sure we're all.
I
on
think the
same
bigger
page.
dilemma is the amount of money we're using on this is non-reoccurring funds. And we're battling the constitutional aspect of the new law, at the same time making huge adjustments because the state set precedents on correction officer and law enforcement. The exception of PDs and the correction officers is not underneath the sheriff. So it's put us in a vicarious,
Well, we're hoping this will be recurring. If the governor follows.
we do, that's right. But we have to assume on the worst
Yeah.
in preparation.
But then
for
all
budgetary.
this, we don't have to do all the other ones too.
Yeah, that
And
was a
we've
good,
got to move
that is a
forward.
good point she made that I was not articulating well is because this isn't something y'all are seeing every day, but we literally are looking at these numbers and different options with the minimum every day while doing this. So we're looking bigger picture of where are we heading? We do need to implement some caps. We should be doing that and only giving the 2%, all of that. Now, I think if you all said, well, we don't want to start it today, I mean, I think we could still start that, but we're trying to look big picture. Where are we going here?
Chief Jeter, when is this implemented? July 1?
July 1.
For the state. So it puts us at a handicap, because I understand it just more action, I have a sneak peek. But also this law did not apply to police departments. It applied to sheriff deputies, ATF, FWC, FHP, but not that. So they've infused this huge amounts of money into certain segments of law enforcement and correction officers, it excluded y'all, it excluded the police department. So catch up now is tough.
Right, well, Ms. Daniels asked me to reach out to Gulf County, and I spoke with the female captain down there that's kind of heads of jail. She didn't come out and say how they're getting it, but they're gonna be funded for the increase also.
They didn't say
From the
where-
state?
I don't know if it's from the state or what, but she said.
We
they're gonna
need
be
that
funded for
answer.
it.
Well, and she may not can divulge that. I mean, that might be some.
I don't know where it's coming from, if it's
Oh,
the
I
county doing it. or
Yeah,
what.
and I'm not opposed to doing this. Again, the problem is that we all have, I'm sure, is a simple fact that the state has put us in a position on multiple levels. Like, the state didn't do it on the first one. It's a constitutional voted by the citizens on the constitutional mandate on the minimum wage. But this type of stuff infuses the competition instantaneously across the board to the weak links. When you have someone that can, if we don't implement this, they can go and make $10,000 just by changing the color of a uniform. And that's problematic, not for y'all so much. It is for small governments that says, hey, where do we get this from? At the same time, you have X number of employees that's not getting these raised for Road and Bridge is not getting this road, Parks and Rec's not getting this raised. All these are not, and they don't see it. Clay's not getting this raised. You're right. And the other
He's already
constitutional-
making more.
And so I guess, and this ain't nothing, y'all, this is just something the state has, as a whole, our society has wanted this $15 for several years now. They advocated for it. So it's put us in a vicarious position on the budgetary level. And I mean, I think they're very deserving of it. I do. I mean, that's part of the toughest job I can imagine. Y'all job, law enforcement as a whole. But my God, this budget.
Right, so my concern is we've already had, probably since the word wrote, the state's going up to this 41.6. We're already about 6 or 7 jump ship
Yeah.
and head out. Had one work 2 weeks, already had some applications in. Walked in Thursday, said his last day was starting in the state. Yeah, we're going to, we would compete with the state, would be the same thing the state was.
Yeah.
Neighboring counties, there might be a little more of us. I'm not as concerned about going to the neighbors county as all the Department of Corrections we have in our county. I mean,
Well, eventually they'll fill up. I mean, no matter what.
right,
People are leaving right now, police departments like crazy. I understand Mariana lost some. I mean, it's a big difference. Eventually, they will fill up their job position. But at the same time, you surely don't want someone, say at Sneed, just for instance, they're having to address this like other municipalities are. You're making $12,000 less than somebody just walked off the street, will make 41, whatever that number was, 41.3, 45,000, whatever it was for law enforcement. So what I'm saying is eventually they'll feel, but again, you got to maintain them by being competitive. And the competitiveness here is to raise that salary. I'm not opposed to it at all. The question is none of us know, we can't know what the legislature don't do about reimbursing for and covering those maybe gaps that they left in this, such as the police departments or the ones that's not underneath the sheriff's office. I mean, that would have been great for us. And again, we hope that we can.
well, if you look at these numbers of the years of service, you can tell that there's quite a few that's not been there that long.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
they've got nothing to lose
Yeah, there's nothing.
leaving, you know.
Yeah. So we need a motion to accept this, and I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Well, wait a minute, what's your motion?
A motion to accept the proposal.
As is? I give the guys
Effective
raise.
when?
Do what?
I'm asking for July, the pay period
We didn't-
around July 1.
Well, we need to do that, yeah, we need to do that with conjunction with the state, because that's when they're supposed
So
to.
you're not giving the guy the raise.
He's getting a raise, he just ain't getting
He's
as
getting
much.
10,000, everybody's getting 10,000 but him.
And James.
You're talking about the one gentleman that's in the yellow? Well, listen, he's not getting $10,000. He's retired in
He's
6
already
months.
retired.
Well, I
Why
Well,
would
now,
you not?
that is money he can't take home, but
Yeah.
he's retired.
Yeah, I mean, why would we not give him that little bit for that short time he's gonna be here?
Well, that's why I'm
Well,
clarifying
we just
your
need
motion.
My
clarification.
my motion was to include him getting that promotion. It'll start July 1st and he ends December.
All
That
right.
ain't what he said,
Who?
but.
Commissioner Hill.
No, I know that.
Commissioner Hill's made a motion to give all the corrections officers that $10,000 raise as presented. Okay?
That's not.
Not the chief.
10,076, 17.
Not the chief.
Not that, we ain't talking about the chief.
Well, he's on this piece of paper too.
I appreciate that.
Then you'll bring that up.
So as
We gotta be-
presented, with changing the yellow highlighted to 10,617.
From 4,000 to 10.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
I will second that.
all right, we finally
But
got
you're
a
getting a
motion.
45, wait, hold on.
Marie, did you get it?
Do you-
All across the
I'm
board,
not
right?
too- Are you getting a $4,500 raise?
Except the chief.
Everybody will go up by $10,617.
Cause he's on his way out.
Everybody.
I put you at 70, base say 71. 77, 55.
77.
No, it put me at 7 with the.
Yeah, he's on $4,500.
It put me at 7.
His proposal is 4,500. He's
So
making
we
66.
looked at
He'll
the-
make about 71,000.
So we looked at the chiefs and we're going to talk about Chief Reader next, but, and the emergency management director, and that puts them all within the 70 range.
Was that your motion?
That's how much.
All right,
What is it?
Marie, you know what the motion is?
Everybody,
Yeah. And he gets the 4,500.
And you got a
Yes.
second for it. Alex, you got any questions?
No. I'll pull.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 4-0 because Paul is not here.
Well, thank y'all very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Go
So
buy
you,
your
so
soda
now,
pop.
hey, so you get to go break the news to them now? Is that it? Or are they on live Zoom now? Probably the secretary's on
I
Zoom.
bet you they're on
Yeah,
Zoom.
regular. Yeah, disappointment. yeah.
Because he was told to.
All right, what
So
else?
now that starts July first.
Yeah, July
The pay
1st.
period around July 1st.
When does the state start?
July 1st.
July
Okay,
1st.
we're good.
Yeah, that's-
So they
We
don't need to
will-
be leaving.
At some point in the distant future, we will address this, right?
We will.
Okay.
Okay, and then the second item on here is, as I spoke with most of you about, when you all did the fire rescue adjustments back in December, just oversight, we inadvertently placed the firefighter EMT positions all at the base, which in theory seems like a good idea, except that's what we're trying to get away from. We're trying, just like we just did with the jail, to keep that little bit of separation based on years of service. And so for $26,497 annually, we can fix that. And I have it here. I did not print it out, but just to give y'all a quick rundown, it would put separation, it would $1,576 per EMT would create that automatic separation for them. Is that
I'll
right,
make-
Carlin? Okay.
I'll make that motion. I do have a question. We'll go ahead and finish this one.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Fate. Go ahead with your comments.
All right, well, let's just finish this because it's gonna be totally separate.
Okay, so, and
I'll
the
leave it there.
other part with fire rescue is that would leave.
Wait a minute, wait a
Oh,
minute.
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
We haven't voted. I thought there was, you wanted to
I
say
want a question,
something.
but it wasn't relative to this. It's just.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion
So my
carries.
question is
4-0.
that fire rescue, have they increased? I mean, it looked like, you know, for $575,000 we, out of the 3 year we gave them. I haven't seen any increase because they're down in the ambulance every day, and that's nothing they're doing wrong. I'm not by no means accusing it, but what is, I'm here and I was speaking to one of them, they said y'all did it wrong. In no disrespect to them, to us, is what they were saying, but it's how we pay them by the pay period. It's something like 40 hours. I know they're on the 56 hour because law enforcement, fire rescue is attached to EMS, so that applies there. But they're not gaining any more because I mean, every day I look on the phone and there's an ambulance there. We're still at 4 ambulances.
I haven't heard this about doing it wrong.
No, I mean, I think there's a way that the pay period fall. I think.
Really?
Yeah, but but we haven't been able to attract anybody, I guess, and they may not be a pool to attract from, so they.
Well-
Pointing fingers, I'm just wondering what.
I think what we did more than anything, hopefully, is retain what we've got. And then Charlie has a plan to try to grow some of our own by sending the EMTs. For instance, we right now are going to hire, because we have like 7 paramedic vacancies. We're going to fill a few of those with EMTs with the understanding that they will start paramedic school in August. So we're trying some different approaches to, I mean, it
Well,
doesn't
we have-
hurt because they're vacant no matter what.
So we don't just fill the paramedic position with EMTs. and
Well, not all of them. We're gonna use like a couple of them, because if they're still vacant anyway, then it doesn't hurt, but them go into school in August.
Do they have to still sign that 2 year contract?
Mhm.
And that's always been a weakness, and again, nothing we can do about it, but most of them counties that need them more than we do, we're always susceptible to them just saying, we'll pay your contract off. And that's, again, that's nothing we can control.
Eventually you'll get a few that'll stick.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we gotta try something. It's just, we're always at physically restrained. So.
The last thing that I had was, the only position in this case that would not have been addressed would be the chief of fire rescue. And so we're requesting the same as Chief Jeter, a $4,500, which will put Charlie at $67,894. So he hasn't been here quite as long as Chief Jeter, so we try to take that longevity into consideration and puts them more in line with each other.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Hill,
Second.
second by Commissioner McKinney. Any questions? This will take effect.
So,
same as the others, right?
well, actually with fire rescue, we want to retroact that to when y'all adopted that in December.
Well, you
Which is,
thought- well,
I'm
wait a
sure
minute.
Michelle will
that.
love us for that. Because they already were getting that, so we would retroact that to when y'all made that effective in December, if you're okay with that. They're really separate from corrections. Or we can do it now, I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, I mean, I'm fine with doing it retroactively. We got to finish this motion with that.
Well, I'm trying to figure out-
You're including this in this, because
You're trying to
Well,
get that.
it's not going to, you all just approve the same amount no matter what, if that makes sense.
well, yeah, and see, this, and I'll say this, and this goes back to Al Green, and so also we're looking back at the same time, but you see, I think there has to be a difference of the supervisors, I guess, department heads, because again, I remember seeing that Al Green made 45,000, I think, when he retired. And he was over 78 employees and $8 million budget. And then now that's moved up, and I mean, shouldn't there be some differences in a salary of a person that is over 70, 80 employees, whatever it is, when it's, I'm talking about if it's fully staffed, and someone that's maybe over 6? I mean,
Your
obviously,
department heads should not all make the same. as well.
And they don't.
well, they don't, okay, I thought that's what we were saying here, we're gonna balance.
Well,
it out.
the public
Okay.
safety side of things, we were getting those in the realm of each
Okay,
other, but they're
okay,
not
so I just wanna
exactly
make
the
sure there
same.
was some room there, because I mean, I just remember that, I think we moved.
All right.
So
So that's your motion.
that's my motion. Well,
Marie, did you get the motion?
So my motion is to allow the retroactive on the EMS side for the EMT, correct, to go back retroactive when
And
it was
chief.
adopted.
And
to
to
the
get
chief
the
position.
$4,500.
To the chief, program. That's correct. No,
It's
no,
total.
He's already said that in the first motion.
yeah.
And we have a
Second
second.
motion, there's two motions, yeah. Is to make everything retroactive and give 4,500.
Right.
It needs to be included in the first motion.
Right.
One motion.
One motion.
You made the second. All right, anything else? All those in favor, raise your right. 4-0. All right, what else? We can spend money.
We ain't made none today.
Hmm.
We ain't made nothing today. Oh, wait a minute, when was the last day we made money?
I don't guess I have anything else. Felt like I did.
Eric, you have anything?
I don't know about that.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Michelle, not me.
What are y'all,
What about your training, William? What about your training?
what are you doing?
Yeah, when you start talking about.
You need a raise too. I mean, besides elevation.
Steps do.
Yeah.
But I got one thing, we talked to Michelle a little bit earlier about this, but it is just a step in the lease contract for the cat graders with the supporting resolution. And we'll have to do one of these for each machine, so I'm just offering a motion just to accept them.
You don't want the motion.
So
Recommend.
so moved. I do have a question on that for Gavin, when we get through. So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Commissioner Hill to approve Reverend Perry's motion. And a second by Commissioner Fake.
Everything good with that?
Michelle, have you reviewed these?
It's their,
Resolution.
it's the same lease agreement that
That thing was horrible.
I don't like them, but
And gotta have a resolution with it.
yeah.
So we need a resolution drawn.
There's a form resolution in the agreement. I don't remember them having the resolution before, but it's just an acknowledgement that you have the authority to enter into the lease, that you're not extending your your ability to levy taxes, that sort of thing.
Have we voted?
Yeah,
We have
we will have to adopt it. Is that part of your motion?
Won't make the statement again.
You need to approve the lease agreement, authorize the chairman to sign the,
Is this, you want it to be part of
Resolution.
it? All right. I'll add that to my original motion, so don't make.
He's adding the
Make it,
resolution to it.
make it easier for everyone.
And Frank seconded it. Okay, any more questions? All those in favor of getting him a
Step
stool?
Vertically challenged.
Motion carries.
So,
Yeah, the
while y'all
vertical
stand there, so on these leases, with these cats, or two things, let me address two things. One of them is, when they ship one, we should know ahead of time about where that vehicle, that grader's coming from. Can they forward to us the documentation? Because I think one of y'all mentioned to me, I'm not sure who, at Road and Bridge, that, one of the principals that there's some of those, there's like, what's there, 309s, 308, excavators is out there. They're sitting there for a while. Is there not a way to coordinate with the manufacturer to forward that? I don't know if it's a title. I don't know if there's a title to, I'm sure there is some form of a title to it, to get that process. So when it drops on the ground here, I mean, it's not a shock when it comes off the freaking boat and wherever it comes off the port at, but to have that to where we can have the documents quicker. Well, sure. I mean, again, that you got a boat coming across here for 30 days across, I think, the last day.
She's got it. She's got it.
Right, off the boat, right.
I have not seen it yet.
Louisiana. Well, my point is that I understand that they're taking the trade-ins before we're getting to do it, so we're down, is that correct? They're swapping the same day? Okay, that's good.
But it's taking a while to get them back on the road.
Yeah, some of them will.
Why does it take so long?
We should have a balloon payment, not payment, balloon policy. Why would it just add it to them? I mean, all they need usually is being and making model. I mean, is there something we can do to streamline Clay maybe? I don't know.
I mean,
what-
if we could get the information.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying ahead of
we
time.
can take it to the
Yeah,
insurance
because
company.
again, when they ordered the last 10 of those things to come over there, I think they said they were on the boat 29 days. Well, there's, we can get some over here overnight or in a few days to have that paperwork ready for y'all to process what you need to. When they're dropped off, we put a pretty little Jack County sticker on, they on the road.
They get on the road, then we'll put a sticker.
Well, that's fine, that's right, that's
So
a good
they can
point.
go on the road
But
without.
we don't need
Sticker
that.
ain't bothering us. It's making sure we got insurance.
That's right, well, with the insurance company, they usually just need make model and,
Yeah,
proof of
that's what we
ownership.
said.
So whatever we need to.
That's what it's told. It's on the VIN number. We gotta have that.
Yeah, that's fine. What I'm saying is, it's just a delay. I mean, we already need them. So as soon as we get them here, we don't need to let them sit there. Now, again, I know that's not, yeah, yeah, that's right. So
Whatever
whatever.
it's still like.
As soon as we get it,
Oh, no, I know that. I'm not saying, I'm just talking about from the manufacturer. If they're not sending the data documentation from y'all in the
We gotta
time.
have it ready to go.
To you. Yeah, no, yeah, not y'all. Y'all doing fine. I just don't want that.
Have we got the paperwork on the two we received recently? Four. Have we got the
All the paperwork
paperwork?
ready?
Oh, you got them right there?
Yeah, this is what.
How long they been here? How long they been here? We.
The other two just got here, yeah.
Two of them on the road already, and two of them we got to bring.
Just probably
Miss Linda
sheets
come all
on
the way
there.
back from lunch and said she had other paperwork ready, so I'll get it up here. Well, if y'all can find out how to streamline that from when we get, it don't matter what product we get, I don't care if it's the F-650, we had several years ago for the crew truck. We just need to see the manufacturer was accelerate that timeframe and get it to the clerk's office to let them do the paperwork. When he drops here, we should, I mean, you can go to a tag, I mean, to buy a lot, you're driving off vehicles a lot at a dealership right now. I mean, it's not rocket science. They just need to provide our clerk some faster service to get that. So that's all I
Hey, Commissioner McKinney?
You'll get us a updated number for the ARPA is concerned, but what's the balance on it? After all these.
Sure.
Like,
I do, wait, I have one more thing. I'm sorry. So I have something that kind of, I think it's been coming up more since COVID and doing more online things. But I would like the board's blessing on whenever we are having a training, instead of sending people away, what we've been doing is doing more training here, but we would like to be able to provide a meal for that. So instead of sending them off and paying mileage, food per diem, hotel, all of that, we've been trying to do more here, but we'd like to provide the meal. So,
sardines?
Sardines and chocolate milk.
well, I wanted to give y'all, I just wanted to say, to put it in perspective financially, how much better that is for us. So for instance, Fire Rescue's having a 3-day training, one per shift this week, but will go through lunch. So we were going to provide lunch. Well, if we were paying them all per diem, that would cost around $480. But if we bring in pizza every day, you're going to maybe spend $125. So it's a more
Salaries.
cost-effective way to do training. And I would like someone to make a motion
I'll
and
do
bless,
that.
bless
As long as
that.
ain't no lobster thermidor, that's all we care.
Okay, I told them to keep it less than what they would spend per diem per person.
I've got a
Which is
motion
easy
by
to do.
Commissioner Hill to provide lunch for people in training, as long as the lunch is not lobster.
It's gonna vary a little bit because of the cost and the amount of people you're serving. So
Right.
that's- yeah, As long as they.
That was second by Commissioner Pate. Alex, you got any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Marie, you can put in the minutes that I will keep it reasonable. Thank you. That's
I
all.
think buying a sausage and
There's
sardines.
something for us, so make sure you put down who it is. So we have that.
Well, and I
documentation.
also want to, when possible, code it to their training budget, because that's where it would come out of if we were paying to send them somewhere. Travel is what I mean.
Okay. We're adjourned. I'm not gonna give you the opportunity. All right.
Take care.
Jabbo.